What's going on, everybody? Coach Stefan, owner of Pursuit Health Performance, and I'm here with Brendon Moody, one of our clients that's been in our program for about 6 months. Do you mind giving people a little context, introducing yourself, people know who we're going to chat with, and we'll dive in and go over what's happened over the last 6 months in the program?
Yeah, as Coach Stefan said, my name is Brendon Moody. I'm the director of track and field and cross country at the University of St. Francis. Um, Decided to join Pursuit. It would have been October of 25, just because I was looking for a change, looking for a little bit more accountability. And what I was doing was not giving me the results at that time. So reached out to Coach Stefan, and 5.5 months later, we are here.
Yeah, man. What was the thing that I mean, like, so I understand you weren't really getting the results you want, but what specifically was kind of your bottleneck? You're like, man, and you're a coach yourself, right? So you coach athletes and you've been doing that for a long time. So what was the thing that made you say, hey, was it like I'm not losing the weight I want, I'm not getting as shredded as I want? It was a performance. Like, was there a specific thing you were hoping to achieve?
Probably a little bit of both. Dropping the weight wasn't happening. Motivation wasn't there, and then arguably accountability wasn't there. So that's the one thing that I really like about Pursuit is the fact that um, the ease of programming. That was something that I could just turn my mind off. As you mentioned, as a coach, I'm used to writing programming,
Mhm.
um, but just being able to just turn my mind off, go into the gym, know that my coach has everything already scripted for me, just go in, knock it out, and then have the accountability piece of being able to reach back out to somebody and bounce ideas off of. And that was the one key component that I was definitely missing, outside of just not dropping the weight initially.
Yeah. Yeah. And you being a coach yourself, you obviously understand the value of, your athletes are like, hey, I did this in the weight room, or maybe, hey, I did this with running. Like, what do you think? Oh, you got to fix this technique. And I'm not like a huge running track coach, but um, yeah, man, I have to ask too, like, how long have you been coaching?
I've been doing this for 20 years in some
20 years.
capacity or another.
Right. So a long time. So you obviously understand kind of the value of it. Uh, what do you think was the big thing that made you go with Pursuit? Because I know we were chatting about this before, right? Like no surprise that probably anybody watching this, we have a really big first responder community. We do work with a lot of cops and fire and medical. And I know for you, you were a little bit like, yeah, I don't know if this is going to be a right fit. And when we had our call, I'm like, dude, we can help anybody, bro. Like, I mean, those are the people we do serve a lot. And honestly, love the first responder community, but they're the hardest to work with. They have the most crazy schedules. And I'm like, dude, if we can help those guys, like, we can 100% help you. And then I put you with what I consider Ryan a sports performance coach, right? So walk me through kind of where you were mentally before pulling the trigger.
I mean, I think initially one was accountability. Is it something that's going to hold me accountable? Secondly, it was going to be, um, is the person that I'm going to get linked with going to be able to relate to me? The relatability, knowing that the first responder background was the target niche, I guess. But then when you start thinking about their crazy schedules, and being able to sneak in 45 minutes or an hour here, the relatability for me as a coach is that there are some days where I may only have 45 minutes, and I got to
Mhm.
sneak that workout in wherever, early bus, long days. When can I sneak in my workout or prioritize that? And I think that was kind of the selling point for me, is that it wasn't going to be, 2 hours in the gym all the time. It was going to be
Yeah.
something that was
Yeah.
going to fit into my schedule, that I was going to be able to maintain. And that was probably the biggie, is that it was sold that my coach was going to know what he was doing. And then secondly, the timeliness of the program was going to fit into what I was looking for.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, that's to me, it's not like it's a super logical, like it makes sense to me just because obviously we're in it every day. And it's crazy because like you said, I mean, we work with some business owners, some executives, some guys that travel and they're just busy. Like that, if I could say one common reoccurring theme, even when, although we do work with a mostly fire, military, we have some PAs, we have doctors, we have I mean, we have a big thing. But one common thing is y'all busy, including me. We're working a lot. A lot of us have kids, including yourself and family and dads and husbands, and you got a lot of just a lot of weight and responsibility. And so it would be nice when we can have those long gym sessions, but usually they have to be super optimized, really tailored around your schedule, where you are, obviously what your goals are. And maybe some of our cops might train a little bit differently, but a lot of guys that come to us, they want to look good and perform. And that's like something that, I will always plant my flag. That's why I call it pursuit, health, and performance. Because, if somebody wants to come in and just look aesthetic and they don't care about performance, more power to you. We can obviously do that. But I think a lot of our guys like yourself, like they want to look good, but they want to be athletic, right? They want to be able to function. Even if like I got a client that mountain bikes all the time. He owns three businesses and that's just what he wants to do. So he still wants to be an animal. He still wants a good VO2 max and have good endurance and so yeah, I think that the common theme is just like we're all busy. But I know a big thing for you was accountability. What specifically, when you say accountability, was it like somebody kind of pinging ideas off you? Was it somebody needing to kind of be like, "Hey man, did you work out today?" Like what kind of accountability did you feel like you need? And what kind of accountability have you got so far?
I mean, I've had coaches in the past, even which sounds ridiculous, right? Like you're a coach, you should just do it. I've hired coaches in the past that haven't been there to answer emails, answer text messages. So knowing that Coach Ryan is going to be there, within 24 to 48 hours of asking something like, "Hey, this didn't go well. What's going on?" Or I've noticed that we've plateaued. Weight wise for 2 to 3 weeks, let's look at things. It's mainly to be able to bounce ideas off of, making sure we're doing things the right way. Um, but yeah, somebody checking in, just being like, "Hey man, like I
Mhm.
saw you didn't log your food for 3 straight days. What's going on?" Or even the accountability to have him make changes to my schedule on the whim of like, "Hey, by the way, we're heading out of town for 4 days because we qualified to nationals. Can we modify these workouts that you have set, and make them adaptable to a hotel gym?" Knowing that I'm not going to have time to find a local gym and get
Yeah.
out. So that type of accessibility and accountability has been, I would say, instrumental in me accomplishing what I have so far.
Yeah. No, it's huge. And the way that I try to, tell clients, or people that are potentially want to work with us is like I and Coach Ryan and our other coaches, Mike and Josh, they would do that for themselves, right? Like if I was going to travel, which I am actually right now, I'm in Missouri, I'd be like, oh, I'm going to this gym. Cool. Let me look it up. What equipment do I have access to? How, okay, go in the app, modify it. So like I would go and adjust it, which I literally have this trip. And and actually yesterday, day before, I hurt my back deadlifting. It hasn't happened in a long time. It wasn't terrible. But
Same.
guess what I have to do today? I kind of tweaked it. So I have to adjust my workouts. And
Right.
so it's the same thing, except we're doing it for you, right? We have the knowledge and the wisdom and and yeah, it's really nice. And you did mention something, rewinding a little bit. You're like, man, I'm a coach, so you think I would just do it. This is a mindset thing, which I think we all struggle with, right? Like high performing, high achieving, driven dudes are like, dude, I could just do it, I should be able to just do it. And I know it's something you and I talked about, and I think from you're a coach and I'm a coach, the perspective of like, yeah, it's not that you can't, right? Or it's not even like I should be able to. I think the real question is, if I have a coach, will I be more optimized? It's like right, and I give this analogy all the time because I think it just clicks with people. It's like, NFL players, do they need strength coaches? I mean, I just think that's the wrong question. I don't
Right.
think it's a need. I think it's like if they have them, will they do better? Well, yeah, that's why they pay a ton of money because what you got to focus on as a high performer is just executing, right? It doesn't mean because you have a coach you're dumb or incapable or lazy. I actually think it's smart. Like my wife and I hired house cleaners. I used to literally have what I would consider a weak mindset, like, I could clean my own house, but what? Best decision. I'll have them forever as long as I can afford it. Because I don't want to spend, they show up with three people, they clean it, they clean our house while I'm working. Like the opportunity cost is there, not because I'm lazy, not because I can't clean my house, but it allows me to focus on what I'm good at, right? And execute instead of spending time doing things that really are not like the most bang for my buck. Same thing with like programming and getting a program. It's like, hey, Brendan, go to the gym, do this, and you could focus on doing your job and being a dad and being a husband and showing up and doing that. just I don't know. To me, it's just like an oil change. Like I could change my oil. I'm
I
not
just
going to though.
told one of my athletes this morning. They're like, I can't believe that like you pay for a coach, and I'm like, no. I said it's just a matter of being able to. And I pulled up the app and showed them like, here's what the app shows. Like it's counting my calories. Like I could have three different apps and do this on my own. I was like, but I can walk into the gym today, know that I'm doing upper body and I'm doing abs, and I didn't have to write a single thing. And I know it's part of the plan to get me where I want to be. And it's just nice to be able to turn your brain off, throw the headphones in, and go do what you're doing because that's what I want to do at that time. I don't want to spend time this afternoon in addition to writing my own program for my team and working through those logistics. It's, like, as you said, opportunity cost. Like, is it worth
A
what you're
hundred
spending?
percent.
100%. It is.
Yeah. And I mean, like, that's why I have like a business coach and I do business coaching. And even my students are like, hey, what do I do? It's not because I mean, these are like really driven, super smart. Some of them are absolutely annihilating it in business, but they're just like, I just want the mental bandwidth to do what's most important. And I think like if you're new to coaching, that is a hard concept to wrap your head around, but it's a good point to mention as we're chatting, just because I think the initial visceral thought is always, if you're like a pretty like driven dude to be like, I'll just do it on my own, right? Because that's good. It's a double-edged sword. Like that's the grit in us that want to get it done. But obviously you understand the value. So since you've been in, man, 5.5 months, let's talk probably the most important thing, the results. With working with Pursuit and Coach Ryan, like what are some results both aesthetically and performance-wise that you've seen?
Biggest thing. So I have the luxury of having access to a body fat analysis at the university that I work at. So when I started back in October, we did that initially, and I was 26% body fat, and I was 160 pounds. And within the past 2 weeks, we had that done again, and I was at 16% body fat and 145 pounds. So I'm down
Yeah.
15 pounds, 15 pounds and 10% body fat in 5.5 months. Um, I joke with my daughter that I've never had abs. So what I have now are what I call dabs. The dad abs that
You
I'm
got
probably
abs.
looking
I saw your pictures.
at. They're not that 6 pack, 8 pack showing, but like they're getting there. And that's like the
Yeah.
first time since I was like 14, which is wild, back when I
Yeah.
used to wrestle. So it's cool to see. Um, Man, it's a job. People who think it's not, like, it's work. And that's the biggest thing is that like it's not easy, right? Anything worth
Yeah.
doing is not easy. Like I didn't want to go to the gym today. I got done with the team and it was like 8 o'clock. I'm like, man, I gotta get my lift in. That's my designated time. At 8 o'clock, I can go to the gym at work. Like they're done with practice. I'm gonna go lift. I didn't want to lift today. Um, Went, checked it off, got it done. New programming, but it's just it's hard work. Figuring out the nutrition, and that was probably a big part that first month is dialing in calories, dialing in protein, and obviously Ryan did all that, which was which was awesome. So yeah, it's been a fun process.
Yeah. Well, dude, those results are really good. And, obviously you put in the work, dude. So you should be proud of yourself. And it is important to talk about because, it's not freaking butterflies and rainbows and pixie dust unicorns, okay? Like you wonder why most of the United States is fat as shit, right? It's because it is not easy. Like, I mean, I'm here on vacation and I am tempted with like food and alcohol and just all these things. And, I'm so training, but like, it's hard. You have a busy life. It's easier to just go by the seat of your pants. But we got to look at like other areas of our life. If you did that financially, like, I don't know, let's just cut back. It's like, well, no, what are our numbers? You know,
Look
like
like
we
what does
have,
cutting back look like? And that's
yeah,
yeah. The program makes it so that if you want to do it and you're willing to buy in, like you'll take care of it. Like it's like anything else in life. You know, if you're just gonna throw money at pursuit and hope that the pounds come off and that you work out. Like you still got to get your ass to the gym and do it, or
sure.
do
Yeah.
your basement, or I don't know. The meal prep. I mean, failure to prepare is preparing to fail, right? Like if you don't do the
Yeah.
stuff in advance, like good luck. Because then you're driving through McDonald's and grabbing shit to stuff your face with.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
like
Yeah, dude, and we talk about that obviously a lot is like having higher standards, becoming prepared. If you're not prepared, especially our guys on shift or are traveling or you're out with your students, it's like, yeah, dude, I mean, when I was in the military, it's like, yes, you didn't bring things, so you're gonna fail. And that's like a whole nother thing we can get into. But yeah, I mean the program, I really feel that it's basically foolproof if you're willing to just show up and do the work, right? And I think the community of men we work with, I don't think working hard is like the issue, really. Like I think a lot of you guys are working your ass off in so many forms and fashions, but it is hard to emotionally put in effort if you're not getting the results, right? And that's where a lot of guys come to us is they're like, I just don't want to like put in all the effort and strain and then like not actually get where I want to go. And I'm like, no, dude, valid. That's in every area of my life. Like I wouldn't want to like put effort into business and not see it succeed or put effort into marriage and have it fail. Well, that doesn't matter. And so, you know, I think that's why it has to be custom, right? That's why you have to work with a coach that understands like your situation and your travel schedule and your body. And one of my jobs obviously is putting you with a coach that's a good fit for you, which Ryan's been an awesome fit. But that kind of understands where you're coming from, and he's more from the sports background, and so I'm sure you guys have like kind of connected on that. And putting you with a coach that kind of fully understands you. Um, I guess my other question would be, and I know we touched on this a little bit, but besides maybe not like getting the results, that being like a fear of yours, what were some hesitations with joining? I mean, did you have any, or were you just like, I just want to make sure I get the accountability and I'm good? Or were you kind of like, man, this is kind of weird because I've worked with online coaches before and they never, they weren't very good communicators. Like, did you have any kind of noise in your head?
I mean, I was curious just because it was online, and with the lifting, but like the video tutorials that are associated, like when the programming comes out, like if you
Yeah.
don't know how to do a lift and you watch the tutorial, like it's pretty self-explanatory. And again, like having a coach that's responsive of like, yeah, I don't have that equipment in the gym. How can I sub that out? Or even as you get more comfortable with the app, you can click on there, click the little arrow and sub it out, and it gives
Yeah.
you, a half dozen different exercises. So that's been clutch. But yeah, for me it was the online component, and honestly the cost, right? Like, is it worth what you're spending? And I can say that yeah, it is. It's worth the price. And that's and I was a month to month client. Still am. Didn't sign up for 6 months, and looking back on it, I probably should, but wasn't in the financial position at the time.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't think you can go wrong whether you're month to month or signing up long term. You're going to get the results if you put the effort in.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And for us, it's like I just want to see you. I mean, I know the results are going to come. So that's what kind of we talked about is like, hey, I just want you in, bro. Like whatever you need to do to get in so you can put in the work because sometimes we have to put the cart before the horse. And I understand it is hard to invest if you don't see the results, right? But at the same time, like we got to work with what you got going on. And I'm more concerned about you getting in and getting the results versus like, how you pay, obviously. Um,
Well,
so
I
I'm
think
glad you feel like,
that'd be my takeaway is that like anybody who potentially watches this that's like, I don't know if I can bite the bullet. Like if you can pay for it up front, do it. Don't go month to month. Like you're going to get the results as long as you do it. And I think that's like anytime you see like testimonials, you're like, this guy, like, no, like this is for real. Like just bite the bullet, do it, and then do the work. So I
yeah.
think that's some apprehension with people as well.
Yeah, man. And I ask that like basically every interview, generally because everybody's mind's at a different spot, and people have different kind of fears and hesitations. And the big thing, and I know because like 98% of our clients have never really done online coaching. I know the big thing is like, sorry, this thing went off, is usually, how are you guys going to work with me online? I need accountability. And I'm like, dude, if you understood how in-person worked, like actually like hiring an in-person trainer, you wouldn't even ever try to do it. Online has way more accountability, way more communication. We're obviously helping you with the training, the nutrition, the everything. And yeah, you got to be a kind of a go-getter and a little bit like like get after it. But honestly, I think it has more support than in person ever has. Well, I know that for a fact because I did in-person training for 10 years and Ryan still does it. And, it's not because that's probably the biggest argument I get. Some guys that don't join are like, well, I'm just going to go do in person. I'm like, dude, terrible idea, bro. Like honestly, like if you're that busy and you're trying to get leaner, why would you go hire an in-person trainer? They don't do nutrition, they're not holding you accountable, they're not adjusting your workouts. Like you show up, you work out, you leave. Oh, and you're on their schedule. Oh, and you're on their time. Like, there's just a lot of missing components. So I think for our program, and part of the reason I started this is like, how can we help you with everything? And everything matters, right? And getting you to a point where you can eventually go on your own. Like I know you're not going to be in here forever, dude. And I'm okay with that. And I'm good. And so I want to also just help you become a better strategist and advocate for you, right? Like long term, you're like learning all this stuff as he's making adjustments. I know you're probably asking questions and things are clicking a little bit more. You're like, okay, so that's how I get that in and that's how I make that adjustment. And so being able to kind of educate you, I mean, do you feel like you've become a little more like self-sufficient and to the point where like if you were to leave, in a few months or 6 months, you feel like you would have more tools than you did coming in to kind of continue?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think more so it's just the mindset shift that when I'm out and about and I'm not prepared and I have to grab something fast food esque, it's making a smarter decision on what to do. And arguably, like when you don't make that decision and you're like, oh man, I feel like trash because I just ate a bunch of garbage. It's kind of wild. You're like, and it's not saying that like I don't cheat and don't treat myself, but it's like you know what you should be eating to
Yeah.
maintain. And then when you make that other decision, you're like, ah, man, like I'm gonna pay for that. Like it's just the way it is. So, no, I
Yeah.
feel better prepared now than what I was, and arguably
Yeah.
that's almost embarrassing to say. I think that 15 years ago when I was still competing at a very high level at the marathon, like I think I probably could have run exponentially faster had I dialed my nutrition in. But I was always under I'm running 100-mile weeks. I can eat what I want. A little bit of validity to both of those, but I think that the nutrition component is absolutely imperative. I mean, how many dudes do you see in the gym that are just massive, but they're not cut up? It's like, hey, good job. You can move some weight, but you're still fat, Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, dude, it just depends on obviously what you want, like for your body. But yes, I think most guys want to be lean and athletic and feel good and want to take their shirt off. And yes, I see a lot of guys that like, they're stiff, they're immobile, they get on a bench and they're like look good with their shirt, but they don't even want to take their shirt off because they're like, kind of. I'm like, yeah, bro, like, look, you do you, but I want to be like lean and athletic and I want to be able to take my shirt off and function. And, for me and you, like I come from a wrestling background and played sports my whole life. So I don't want to be this like stiff bro. To each their own. I've
Yeah,
been there
and,
though.
and
Like,
Ryan and I talked about that. He's like, dude, he's like, we can put you on like 3,500, 4,000 calories. We can balloon you up and you can push 180. And he's like, but you won't be running. And I'm like, no. And that was part of the goal was I needed to shed some LBs to get back down to pre-surgery weight and be able to run pain-free. And like, I'm getting really stinking close to being there, which is awesome. So
yeah.
anything that you can set goals and achieve them, it makes it
Yeah.
worth it.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of our guys, obviously, we're a lot of first responders, like our big coin term, right, is why we're pursuing health and performance is we're going to help you burn fat, build muscle, and increase your performance at the same time. Like, we have a lot of tactical athletes, or like I said, some guys that do want to function, whether it's getting better at golf, mountain biking, like I don't care, right? Like generally in our program, we do have more of a performance aspect to it. And I think you could do all of it, right? And honestly, I've been at both ends of the spectrum. When I was deployed to Afghanistan, I was like 15 pounds heavier than I was now. I was very strong. I barely fit in my uniform. Like I looked like kind of an animal with my shirt on. I actually didn't look that good. And I definitely felt like shit. Like I just like 15 pounds at my frame, like I'm 5'9", 170 now. Being 185, like it's a night and day. Like I've felt like cement walking around. I feel good now. I feel mobile and lean and athletic and nimble. And I look better. It's healthier for me. So yeah, you got to find kind of your optimized weight.
Man, I had to
Um,
put, I had to put on a suit for the first time about 2 weeks ago.
yeah.
Last time I tried getting in that suit, I could not fit into the pants or the jacket. Yeah, and it fit, and I was like, hell yeah, It
Let's
was like
go.
I'm like, all right, this can go back in the closet. So it
Yeah.
was, it's like, all right,
Yeah,
it's
dude. That's
little
a good
little wins
feeling.
like that. Little wins like that.
Yeah, that's a good feeling. Well, I guess my last question, man, would be, I know we kind of touched on this a tiny bit, but What would you say to somebody that's in your position, that's like really busy with their career, has kids, married, you know, has maybe a lot of years of lifting experience, they're not new to the game, but they're not really getting the results they want. And it could be a combination, obviously, of like maybe not great programming or not nutrition, but they just feel like, look, I need, I know that I need to get a little more dialed in. I know having accountability and like a better, more optimized plan would work, but I don't know. I feel like I can maybe do it on my own, or I'm a little bit like scared to leap. Like, what would you tell that guy?
I mean, you can do it on your own, but I mean, for all the things that we've talked about, the accountability, the programming, the knowledge base that the coaches have bringing into it, um, the flexibility of schedule, the adaptability. Like, yeah, if you have any reservations about whether or not it can work, it 100% can if you're
Mhm.
willing to commit to it. Um, and I think that the group of coaches, having got to meet some of them on the community calls and whatnot, like they're knowledgeable, they know what they're doing. So if there's any reservation, take the leap if it's in your wheelhouse to do so. I don't think you'll regret it.
Yeah. No, I appreciate the feedback. Yeah, and I mean that's the big thing for me, as the business owner when I hired staff and coaches was like, dude, I just got to hire the best coaches that I can find. Right. I don't say that lightly. I've been in this game a long time and, I'm very picky about who we have on the team because that's who you're working with. So all of our coaches are highly educated. They're doing this a long time. They do it full time. I mean, obviously Josh is a previous client and more of a part-time coach that works specifically with our firefighters. But even him, he's a deputy chief now and like he's a busy dude. He's gone through our program. So it's like even the one coach that doesn't have his master's degree is a client because he's been through it and he's doing it and he's living proof and he's leading from the front. So that's very important for me to continue to have staff um, that know what they're doing, really, right? And when we work with like pretty high level guys, it's no bullshit. They are like, I want somebody that knows what they're doing. I want to get to the point. I'm investing this money. I want to get the results. So I'm like, dude, knuckles. I'm the same way. You ready to work? Let's go. That's kind of how I want to run my coaching, and it's been good
If
so
you're
far.
not, if you're not committed to it, then like save your money, right? I mean, like
100%.
that's the thing. And I think you were very upfront with that in our initial consultation. Of like, yeah, dude, like if you don't want to do it, don't freaking invest your money and do it. Like, because you're going to get held accountable. And yeah, I like the no bullshit way to go about things. I operate the same way with my program. So it's
Yep.
just, why spend the money? Why spend the time if you're not going to do it?
Right.
Nobody's holding your hand. So
100%. And that's why we have these calls, man. That's why just like when I have you, we kind of have our game plan call from the very beginning to just meet each other to say like, hey, are you ready? Let's go. I want to make sure you're a good fit. I want to make sure you're all in. If you're not, don't do it. You know? But yeah, man, I mean, it's been really cool to see you go through this. Like we've had some coaches, we've actually had some online fitness coaches and some trainers and another sports coach previously, but we don't have a ton of them in our program. So it's really cool to see from a coach's perspective and somebody who's kind of doing it every day. And yeah, man, I mean, you've crushed it. I didn't think you would struggle at all. I had high expectations from you, and you've done well, man. I mean, 10% body fat dropped, and your performance has gone up, in 5.5 months. Like that's not a small feat. Like that's really, really quick and good progress. But obviously, you've been really locked in, dude. So keep up the good work. I
appreciate
appreciate
it.
you jumping on and giving some feedback. And I'm excited for you to continue to chip away. I think the dabs will turn into abs. You just
They're
give
getting there, man. They're getting there.
just keep chipping away, bro. The last little bit is the hardest, right?
Right.
Like, going from 10 to 8% body fat is not easy, but I'm kind of excited to see how like shredded you can get if that's a goal of yours.
Yippers. Summer's around the corner, so it's all
Yeah,
good.
I know I got to start my cut soon too. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you jumping on. We'll see you on the inside and keep working away, okay?
Thank you. Have a good
All right,
one.
brother. Yeah, talk soon. Bye.